everybody. As I see, 5 people already joined in, so why letting you guys and girls wait? Hi, my name is Steffen, and I am glad to talk tonight about 10 UX mistakes people can make during digital product development. And I will try to keep an eye on the chat here and then see if there are questions coming in and try to react, but I don't guarantee that I see every feedback and every question. So I want to talk about 10 topics, and but before we do that, let me tell you why I feel entitled to talk about these things. So I'm head of product management at Unternehmertum, which is Europe's largest entrepreneurship center here in Munich. And at Unternehmertum, we run a program called Digital Product School. And with that program, we educated in the past 3 years almost 80 teams in digital product development. And by this and several hundred tests and user interviews I ran personally in my career so far, I realized that there's a sort of a pattern when it comes to newbies running into issues when it comes to digital products. And yeah, from all these pitfalls, I created a list of 10 things I want to talk about today. And yeah, as I said, I'm trying to keep an eye on the feedback and answer questions, but I cannot guarantee. But I will do my very best to provide answers after the live show. And some of you might already have seen the link to the submission, so you can submit your website or prototype or link to your app if you want to have a free UX review or website critique, so to say. So I will show that link at the end of the show as well. So feel free to submit your website afterwards. Yeah, so then let's dive in and have a look at the list of 10 things you need to be aware of when developing digital products. And let's get to number 1. So the first mistake many people and founders make is when they think their idea or their product or their solution is the center of the universe. And like them, everybody else in the world is thinking constantly about this product, and which is simply not the case. So we need to remind our teams to keep in the back of their heads that people have probably more important stuff to think about rather than the product, no matter how good that idea or that product might be. So users have to take care of their kids, need to think about how to pay back their loans or to study, or if you want to sell software to these people, your software might be good and might solve a certain task, but there might be software that is more important to these people because they have to use it professionally in the business or whatever. So it's simply not the case that everybody pays as much attention to your product as much attention to your product as you do. And this you need to consider when designing everything. And we will get back to this thing later when we cover the other points. And another thing to consider here is that there's a thing called Jacob's Law, which states that 99% of the time users are visiting other websites than yours. And on one hand, you can leverage this. They might learn things there you can use on your website. But on the other hand, this also means that the hard truth is that there are other things out there than your product. And you need to be humble and be prepared to not to lose sight of this. Okay, then number 2. So, especially when it comes to online retail, we hear a lot that people say, oh yeah, let's just do it like Amazon. They spend millions on user research, and they risk to lose millions if they don't get things right. So why not just doing it exactly like they do? And this is a big mistake, because first of all, although it's good to use what has been established through Amazon, like a shopping cart mechanism or something like this, when it comes to other stuff like the design of a certain detail page or the checkout funnel, you need to keep in mind that your audience might be a different target group than Amazon, or it might be in a different context when they try to buy things off your website than they do at Amazon. And as big as Amazon is, chances are that they're running loads and loads of A/B tests, and whatever you're looking at the moment might be such an A/B test, and you might be part of a variant that is bound to be a loser, and Amazon might ditch this later. Yeah, you keep, and it's very risky to copy things which you don't know are successful for Amazon, because you might be part of an A/B test. Yeah, so get inspired by Amazon, but always test with your very own users and find out whether it works or not. So. Yeah. The third thing I want to talk about is conversion rate optimization. Many people find it very tempting to jump onto this, but it can be very costly if you because the mechanism suggests that it's easy, measurable, and success leads to more revenue and more money when you manage to optimize your conversion rate. But you might damage your business in the long term if you do things like upselling or tricking users even into buying stuff or clicking that call to action button. And what you also, especially if you have a retail shop, need to keep in mind is that there are users that generate page impressions that who have absolutely no intention of buying things. Right? An example could be that a teenager shows his friend, hey, once I get my Christmas money, I will buy these pair of sneakers. Here, look at this. And then there's a page impression generated that drives down your conversion rate. And no matter how much money you throw at this user, you would not convert him because he will wait until Christmas before the user makes his purchase. So conversion rate optimization only works to a certain level, and beyond that, every money you spend is burned money. And at Amazon, we had a saying that the only thing the conversion rate tells you for sure is whether your buy button works or not. And everything else, you cannot really, or there's no use in staring constantly at the conversion rate. Of course, you need to do everything right. Make sure that you have the correct product description, that the pictures of the product reflect exactly what the product looks like. So you will get loads of returns if the color is just slightly off. But if you did this fundamental homework, everything right, then stop staring at the conversion rate and rather optimize for returning customers, which is a lot harder to measure than the conversion rate, but it's much cheaper, and it pays off in the long run. And one way to do that is to aim for delighting the user, which simply just means provide a benefit they did not expect. And then this is usually much cheaper than running loads and loads of A/B tests in order trying to optimize the conversion rate. Which brings us to number 4. So, by the way, I just learned that obviously the software I'm using here for the streaming deactivated the comments. So feel free to just comment on a post on the Tuesday Instagram page, or just send an email. We will try to answer your questions afterwards. Sorry for that. But I thought it might be better to give you some visual support for what I'm talking about. So number 4, seeking confirmation rather than testing your product. So many teams at DPS come back once they left the building and tested their products with users and say, hey, yeah, we gathered loads and loads of positive feedback. And this sets off our alarm bells, because usually when teams say something like this means that they went off seeking confirmation rather than testing their product properly. And when you observe them while they're doing the tests, you see quickly that they have a hard time not saying anything. So if the user got stuck or is not convinced by the product, they are falling into pitch mode and explain everything, and refuse to just be relaxed, observe, and learn what's wrong with their product in order to improve it. So this is very, very dangerous attitude, trying to seek confirmation, or just talking to your friends and being delighted when you get positive feedback. So before you spend all the money you have on your entrepreneurial idea, it's a good idea trying to break your idea, not seeking confirmation that has got nothing to do with the customers you are trying to serve at a later stage. So one suggestion I have here is reading the book The Mom Test, which is so much on the point that we give it to all our participants in order to read it before DPS. And there you will learn how to really talk to customers or potential customers, and even get the truth out of your mom, whether your business idea is a good one or not. Although moms tend to find everything awesome their kids do. So yeah, The Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. That's the book to read here. So number 5. So ignoring the context the users in is also very popular trap inexperienced teams or founders fall into. So you really need to force yourself into thinking what exactly is the user trying to achieve on a certain page. And then the goal is to get rid of everything that might distract the user from reaching that goal. An example here would be that it's not so rare that you see sign-up forms which have on the side some marketing copy or USPs trying to talk you into the product, or trying to tell you why it's a good idea to sign up for this product. Although you are already on the sign-up form because you already clicked the sign-up button. So there's no need convincing the user anymore. You should rather get rid of all that clutter and make it easy for the user to fill out the sign-up form. So that would be an example of that. So always think of the context the user's in when they're on a certain page. If you have a good user flow, then that is not too hard of a task. And then get rid of everything, of every piece of content that does not serve that purpose. And yeah, and once you got the user into your sales funnel, don't upsell. Try to serve them as quickly as possible. So 6. Yeah, so I already said it when I talked about the conversion rate optimization. Numbers, it's very tempting to trust numbers. They suggest safety and suggest the truth. And these days, web analytics tools are easy to use, really simple. And this is what people go to when they try to learn about how their digital product performs. There's nothing wrong with it, but the problem is that many teams or many people use it as the only source of information, and this can be very, very dangerous and very expensive, because what these tools only tell you is what happens, but sometimes you want to find out why certain things are happening. And this you can only learn when you observe users. When you look user over the shoulder while they're using your product or try to perform a task. I started at a company and did my very own, very first usability test with the current product that company had. And the first tester stumbled across an issue that was the reason for an uplift of revenue of 30% after we fixed that issue. So, and that company heavily relied on AdSense revenue. So 30% means a 5-digit number here. So it was a huge, huge thing they missed out because they only looked at web analytics so far. And from that on, the managers were convinced that we need to run tests like this on a regular basis, not in order to avoid loss, but to increase revenue. So yeah, always watch the user using your product and try to learn and improve from there. Don't just look at web analytics and try to optimize things with A/B testing out of the blue without having inspiration from user tests and user observations. Number 7. Yeah, so this sort of falls into the always think of the context users in category. So not prioritizing content. So chances are that when you serve many stakeholders like the marketing department and the sales department, whatever, that everybody wants to be with their content on the start screen or the homepage of your website. And the point here is to be sure that the content supports what the user is trying to achieve or the user is benefiting from. So you need your website or your product needs a clear hierarchy, clear routes the user is guided along to, and so that the user doesn't have to think or is overwhelmed by the clutter on the page. So try not to serve for all occasions, which is very tempting. Prioritize what is the most important thing you want to achieve with that page, what's the user trying to achieve here, and then sort your content and design your content in a way that there's some sort of hierarchy. You can use tools like Crazy Egg to find out where exactly users are clicking in order to see what users think is actually clickable. You will be surprised where users click, and so they click on areas which are not clickable, and they click and they don't click areas which are clickable but don't look to the user. So use tools like this in order to optimize and to declutter your website or your digital product, your app or whatever. And keep in mind that you want to enable the user to judge very, very quickly whether they will benefit from your product or not. You don't want make them search for certain stuff. For instance, the BBC is doing a very good job here using the inverse content pyramid, like having a summary on every news page and then going deeper and deeper into the details the further the user reads. So always keep in mind that you want to provide the user some hints that they can actually judge whether this page or the thing they're looking at is for them or not. And if you manage to do this, users will be delighted and will return. Number 8. Not thinking about link copy. What this means is that hyperlinks should not bear any surprises to the user. So it should be very, very clear what happens once the user clicks on this link. There was a time when the Acrobat Reader by Adobe ranked very, very high on Google when you searched for the term click here or download here, because everybody just linked to the Acrobat Reader website when they were offering a PDF. So click here is a bad idea because it doesn't really give the user the information what to expect. And again, you need to keep in mind that users don't have time. They skim read your web page and they use the text of hyperlinks as clues whether to find out whether the content is for them or not. Just by reading the link text on your website, you can do the test. That should tell the story of your website. And if it doesn't, then you need to rethink the copy. So keep in mind that users use hypertext links to skim read because they stand out on a page with loads of text. So create meaningful text copy. Number 9. Talking to domain experts too soon. As I said earlier, like numbers suggest safety and reassurance. Talking to experts does the same job. So we find teams very, very often reaching out to domain experts because of course, it's more comfortable to talk to them rather than trying to get hold of a proper user from a proper target group and researching a pain point for them. But it's a bad idea because the domain experts are not your target group, and they don't take off the responsibility of your shoulders for creating a good product that serves the user. So you need to talk to the target group and to learn about their pain points and to test your naive idea. If you talk to the domain experts, the only thing you will come up with is with some product that fulfills the knowledge domain experts have, and that is probably a copycat of already existing products. But you want to go for innovation, you want to produce something new that delights the users, and you only get this if you try to preserve that naive mindset as long as possible. Of course, at some stage you need to talk to experts, but that should happen after you did your user research within the target group in order to find inspiration for your pain points and your solution ideas. Which brings us to the last point on my list.
The number of the day rhymes with pen and pen. The number of the day is 10.
So, yeah, wasting the user's time. I mean, some of the earlier points sort of touched on this already, so it all comes down to not wasting the time of the user, because time is something users cannot buy, no matter how rich they are. It's I have an example from a survey that sort of underlines how valuable time is for users. So people were asked what makes them angry or impatient, and they said, "Oh yeah, waiting for a web page to download" was one of the answers, and this answer ranked before waiting for the government to act. So that gives you some food for thought. Or waiting for a computer to start up had more mentions than looking for a parking spot, or waiting for the repair person to show up. And so no matter what you do, and no matter what product you design, or what pain you're trying to solve, make it as simple as possible. I'm not saying don't make it fun or anything, so but try to do everything that the user is able to fulfill the task easily and as quickly as possible, and doesn't feel that they wasted some time. Yeah. If you manage to add fun to a boring task, that's a good thing, and users might not feel that this is a wasted time. Yeah. I met the director of user research of Facebook, and he had a quote on his business card saying, "Time enjoyed wasting is not wasted time." So if you have a boring task and you have an complicated enterprise solution for your B2B customer target group, always keep in mind, at the end of the day, it's humans that are trying to operate this, and there's no reason why enterprise software shouldn't provide fun of doing so. MailChimp would be a great example of something like this. So when that direct marketing newsletter tool launched, all the established providers of services like this laughed at this and say, we are a serious business here, there's no place for a chimp doing serious stuff like this, and look how far they got. So this is a really good example for that you can apply fun and playfulness into a B2B product, and not making the users not feel that time has been wasted. So sorry for the missing feedback option. Let me just check if I got other feedback. We've got some feedback, but we will give that, we will reach out to the people who asked questions like this. So this leaves me saying thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to submit your website, app, or prototype for a free review using the bit.ly link, the bit.ly/DPS critique, and we will get back to you with either questions or suggestions on how to optimize things for your target group. So thanks very much.